Good morning. It is Monday morning, March 26th. This sermon recap is for Lent 5, the lectionary series B that was preached at University Lutheran in Eau Claire, Wisconsin on March 25th, 2012. A little background, a historical background again that really set the sermon up nicely. That the fifth Sunday in Lent typically, historically, has been Passion Sunday. Not in the same sense that we do now in the Protestant church where we do Palm and Passion Sunday the week before Easter. That historically, again, in the 4 weeks of Lent, in this time of preparation for those to be baptized, that on the fourth week, exactly the Wednesday of the fourth week, they were handed the faith. They were handed the faith in Creed, in Ten Commandments, in the Law of Moses, in the sense that then on the vigil of Easter, that they would recite the faith back in their baptism. So literally in the fourth week, the week of joy, that being found faithful, that is, being found in the faith, being found in this faith that is Christ, being moved from death to life, fourth Sunday in Lent, is this joyful Sunday, this Sunday of rejoicing. And then comes the fifth Sunday, that we turn, with all that in hand, that we turn carefully and distinctly to the suffering and death of Jesus. That's the fifth Sunday in Lent. The texts for yesterday were a text from Jeremiah, a familiar text that God is going to make a new covenant with Israel and Judah, that God will put God's law within them and will write it on their hearts. I will be their God, and they shall be my people. No longer shall they teach one another or say to each other, know the Lord, for they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest. I will forgive their iniquity and remember their sin no more. And then this text from John chapter 12. Right before this text, Jesus has come into Jerusalem. We have Palm Sunday in John. And right at the very end of that episode of Jesus coming into Jerusalem and the people lining the roads with palms and shouting, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, the Pharisees said to one another, you see, you can do nothing against Jesus. Look, the world has gone after him. Here's where the text starts. Now among those who went to worship at the festival were some Greeks. They came to Philip, who was from Bethsaida in Galilee, and said to him, Sir, we wish to see Jesus. Philip went and told Andrew, and Andrew and Philip went and told Jesus. Jesus answered them, the hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. Very truly I tell you that unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains just a single grain, but if it dies, it bears much fruit. Those who love their life lose it, and those who hate their life in this world will keep it for eternal life. Whoever serves me must follow me, and where I am, there my servant will be also. Whoever serves me, the Father will honor. Now my soul is troubled, and what should I say? Father, save me from this hour. No, it is for this reason that I have come to this hour. Father, glorify your name. Then a voice from heaven came from heaven. I have glorified it, and I will glorify it again. And the crowd standing there heard and thought it was thunder. Others said, an angel has spoken to him. Jesus answered, this voice has come for your sake, not for mine. Now is the judgment of this world. Now the ruler of this world will be driven out. And when I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all people to myself. He said this to indicate the kind of death he was to die. So in this fifth Sunday, we get this turning toward seeing the very passion of Christ. Here you get two Greeks coming. They kind of enter the scene and go right back out the other side. That they are an affirmation of what the Pharisees just concluded in this parade of victory of Jesus coming into Jerusalem, that the whole world has come after Jesus, that the whole world wants to see Jesus. Sir, two Greeks say, Sir, we wish to see Jesus. And so they bring these two, or they go to Jesus and say, these two fellows want to see you. And Jesus says, the hour has come. And I can feel the excitement. I can feel the excitement in the two Greeks that want to see Jesus, and the excitement of the crowd along the roadside, of Andrew and the disciples, Philip, because they know the way. They can show these two Greeks to the man Jesus, and Jesus says the hour has come, but then he flips it. Unless a grain of wheat falls, remains alone, it remains useless. If it falls on the ground and dies, it becomes fruitful. I will, when I'm lifted up, I will draw all people to myself. We heard this same kind of fragment literally 3 weeks ago in the second Sunday in Lent in Mark. And I said then that that's Mark's ethic That's Jesus teaching, just like all the other philosophers of Jesus' day, the Greek and the Roman philosophers, Stoics and Epicureanism, this whole idea of what it is to be happy, what it is to be content. And in Mark we hear, if you wish to follow me, pick up your cross and follow me. Deny yourself. If you lose life, you find it. If you love life, you lose it. And we get all tangled up. We get all tangled up in what it is that is taking up cross, what it is that is to lose life and find it. How is it that you define that? How it is that you know that? How it is that you measure that? But a commentator named Sloyan said, whatever you make sense of in John, in the Gospel of John, John as a gospel is always not about our faithfulness, and not even specifically, not only exclusively about the faithfulness of Jesus in John, but that God is faithful. That is such an important thing to hear about John. The very beginning of the Gospel of John says, Jesus, the Word that was in the beginning has become flesh and has dwelt among us. No one has seen the Father, but this Jesus, who is at the very heart of the Father, has shown us the Father. In John, Jesus says, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. And so then what does the Father look like? The Father looks like changing water into wine. The Father looks like a cleansing of the temple early in John instead of late in John. The Father looks like John 3:16, for God so loved the world, so that just when we think in John that Jesus is talking about us, and he is, love life, lose it, lose life, find it, he's really talking about himself. The Son of Man, the hour has come for me to be glorified. And what's the glory of Christ in John? It is the cross. This is the place that is glory to Christ. And just, according to Sloyan, just when we think that Jesus is talking about himself, he's really talking about the Father. That this turn in Lent is really about God's faithfulness to the covenant of Jeremiah. That this turn in Lent, Lent 5, is that we now, in being found faithful, we concentrate on Christ. And in concentrating on Christ in John, we hear again that God is faithful to the covenant and to us. To a people of John who knew great turmoil, who knew all sorts of uncertainty and persecution and martyrdom and awfulness, this is the word that John's people needed to hear, that God has not forgotten the covenant, that Jesus is the fulfillment of that covenant, and that Jesus says, when I am taken up, glorified, lifted from the earth, I will draw all people to myself. For God so loved the whole cosmos that God sent his Son, that the Son not judge the world, but that the Son should save the world. That the Gospel of John is about the faithfulness of God to God's covenant with us as a people, with the people of Israel, with the people of Judah, with the people of the covenant that came when Jesus is lifted up from the earth and draws all people to himself. Through that covenant made to Abraham and to Moses and to Sarah and to the matriarchs and the patriarchs of the Old Testament. That these have come, the whole world comes to see Jesus. Sir, we wish to see you. We wish to see Jesus. We wish to see Jesus. We wish to see Jesus. And Jesus says, so see me lifted up. He says this to say, this is the kind of death I will die. And in this fifth Sunday, we get to turn from all this stuff that we've been thinking about and learning about and memorizing about through Lent. Now we turn specifically in that great joy of being found faithful. We turn to the face of Christ. And so we see him lifted up. But this is not just the ethic. This is just not the ethic of Jesus for us as followers. It goes the other way. This is the very ethic of God. This is the very ethic of God the Father to draw all people to himself. That in the midst of whatever we think it is to follow Jesus and to lose life and to love life and to hate life and to find life, it's first and last in this celebration, this great celebration of a God's ethic that is to send his Son and be lifted up, glorified, lifted up on the cross, that he should draw all of us to himself. That so often in Lent, again, we get kind of caught up in trying to measure what it is that makes a good baptism, or what it is that makes a good Christian, and what it is that makes a good faith. For the Gospel of John, and for the people of John, and for the writer of John, the first and last word of the Gospel of John is that God is faithful. That this is God's ethic, to give of God's self and his Son, that all should have life, all who believe in him. That's an astounding word. And so I pray to you as Lent now wanes and Holy Week looms, that next week is Palm Sunday already, that in this fifth Sunday that you turn distinctly, even as these two Greeks have come to Philip and say, we wish to see Jesus, that's a good prayer for us all week to pray. I wish to see Jesus. And Jesus says, so then see an eyeful. See me lifted up. And when I'm lifted up from the earth, I will draw all people to myself. This is the very ethic of God the Father. This is the very ethic of God the Son. This is the very ethic of God the Holy Spirit, to draw people to God's self. Grace and peace to you in all things. A most blessed last week in Lent. We'll see you next week on Palm Sunday.